Every afternoon, the children used to go and play in a giant's garden. The giant was not there. He had gone to meet his friend. It was a large, lovely garden with soft green grass. There were beautiful flowers that grew on the grass like stars. There were 12 peach trees in the garden. The birds sang sweetly on the trees, and the children listened to them in delight. They said to each other,
"How happy we are here!"
The giant stayed with his friend for 7 years. One day, he decided to come back to his castle. When he came back, he saw the children playing happily in his garden.
"What are you all doing here?"
He cried in a gruff voice. The frightened children just ran away.
"My own garden is my own garden,"
said the giant.
"and I will allow nobody to play in it but myself."
So he built a high wall all around it and put up a notice board, "Trespassers will be prosecuted." He was a very selfish giant. Now the poor children had nowhere to play. They wandered around the high walls when their school got over and talked about the beautiful garden inside. Then came spring, and all over the country there were blossoms and birds. Only in the garden of the giant it was winter with snow and frost. The birds did not care to sing in it as there were no children, and the trees forgot to blossom.
"I cannot understand why spring is so late in coming,"
said the selfish giant as he sat at the window and looked out at his cold, white garden.
"I hope there will be a change in the weather soon."
But spring never came, nor did summer. One morning when the giant woke up, he heard some lovely music. It was a little bird singing outside his window. It seemed to him the most beautiful music in the world. A nice perfume reached him. Hoping that spring had come to his garden at last, the giant jumped out of the bed and looked out. What did he see? He saw the most wonderful sight. Through a hole in the wall, the children had crept in, and they were sitting in the trees. The trees were so glad to have the children back again that they had covered themselves with blossoms. The birds were flying around, chirping with delight, and the flowers were looking up through the green grass and laughing. Some children were playing on the grass. It was a lovely scene. Only in one corner of the garden it was still winter. A very small boy was crying as he could not reach up to the branches of a tree. As the giant looked at this child, his heart melted.
"How selfish I have been,"
he said.
"Now I know why spring did not come here. I will knock down the wall, and my garden shall be the children's playground forever and ever."
He was really very sorry for what he had done. So he crept downstairs and opened the front door quite softly and went out into the garden. But when the children saw him, they were so scared that they all ran away. The winter came back again. Only the little boy in the corner did not run. His eyes were full of tears, and he did not see the giant coming. The giant gently picked him up and put him on a branch of the tree. Birds came and sang on the tree, and there were blossoms on it again. The little boy flung his arms around the giant's neck and kissed him. When the other children saw that the giant was not wicked any longer, they came running back, and along with them came spring.
"It's your own garden now, little children,"
said the giant. He took a big hammer and knocked down the wall. All day long the children played in the garden, and in the evening they came to the giant to bid him goodbye. Every afternoon, when school was over, the children came and played with the giant. Years passed by. As the giant grew old, he sat on a chair and watched the children playing. He would say,
I have many beautiful flowers, but the children are the most beautiful flowers of all.